They begged for mercy, but Earth's monsters answered HFY. It did not threaten. It repeated the same broken pattern again and again, like a tired voice that refused to stop speaking. When Dr. Lisa Brown finally saw it, she thought it was a system error. She had been awake too long, drinking cold coffee and watching empty screens. Space was usually silent in a boring way. Most days, her job was to confirm that nothing was happening, so when the alert appeared, she frowned and leaned closer. The signal was not random. It carried structure. Pauses, repetition. Something was counting, then waiting, then counting again. Lisa sat up straight. She ran the data through filters, stripping away static. What remained made her breath slow. This was not natural. It was not a star or a pulse wave. This was made. She called for John Carter. John arrived 10 minutes later, still pulling on his jacket. He was not a scientist. He was there because when strange things happened, someone had decided he should be present. He stood behind Lisa and watched the screen. "Is it ours?" he asked. "No," Lisa said. "And it isn't anyone we know." They listened together as the signal played again. Once filtered, it sounded like breath caught in a throat. Uneven, strained, John crossed his arms. "Can you decode it?" "Maybe," Lisa said. "But it isn't just data, it feels like intention." That word hung between them. Within hours, more people arrived. Engineers, analysts. Alex Moore, who specialized in pattern systems, stared at the feed with wide eyes. Emma Lee worked silently, breaking the signal into layers. Slowly, meaning emerged. The message was not one voice. It was many voices woven together. Different tones, different rhythms, but the same words repeated in countless forms: "Help us." "They're not asking for trade," Alex finally said. "Not for alliance." "They aren't asking for victory," Emma added. "They want mercy." John looked at the final translation. "From who?" The answer came in fragments, images encoded as math, symbols stacked like memories. Cities burning, skies torn open, ships falling like dead insects, a shadow that spread from star to star, leaving nothing behind. Whatever was doing this was not interested in negotiation. The room felt smaller. The message kept repeating. It did not change. It did not adapt. It was old and it was tired. This was not a first call. It was a last one. Lisa whispered, "How many times do you think they sent this?" Alex swallowed. "Long enough to know no one was coming." That was when the room realized something else. The signal was aimed at Earth. Not by chance, not by accident. The math pointed here, through dangerous regions of space, past easier targets. It had been shaped to reach a world that burned bright, loud, and violent by galactic standards. They had chosen Earth. News traveled fast after that. By morning, the room was full. Screens showed projections and guesses. Distant star maps glowed with warning colors. No one smiled. John stood before a small council, hands resting on the table. "We need to decide what this is before the rest of the world finds out." "It's a distress call," someone said. "It's more than that," Lisa replied. "It's a confession of failure. They tried everything else." "Or it's a trap," another voice warned. Alex shook his head. "If it's a trap, it's a strange one. They are admitting weakness, fear, begging." Emma looked up from her screen. "And they don't know us." That thought settled heavily. The signal described Earth in simple terms: heavy gravity, unstable climate, constant internal conflict, a world that should not produce a spacefaring species, yet it did. To whoever sent the message, Earth was a last gamble. John exhaled slowly. "They are asking monsters for mercy." No one argued. Humans knew what they were, not the stories they told themselves, but the truth. They had survived by being stubborn, violent, and clever. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day, and they had learned to hit back harder. Lisa thought of storms, earthquakes, wars, of history soaked in blood and effort. "Maybe that's why they chose us," she said softly. The council debated through the day. Secrecy fought with fear. Hope clashed with caution, but one fact refused to leave the room. Someone out there was being erased. By nightfall, the decision was made. They would answer, not with promises, not with fleets, not yet with a voice. Emma prepared the response, simple. "Slow, clear, we hear you." Parts of it had been damaged by weapons that bent space itself. Entire sections went silent mid-transmission, like a scream cut short. Alex reconstructed what he could. The attackers were not driven by hunger or fear. They expanded because they could. They erased resistance not out of hate but efficiency. Lisa stared at the simulations and felt cold. "They don't stop." "No," John said. "They finish." When the reply finally came, it arrived weaker than the first. The alien coalition identified itself in symbols that meant home, bond, and shared breath. They had once believed the galaxy was kind. They had built cities of light and law. They had trusted treaties. Then the enemy arrived. World by world, the coalition fell back. They begged neighbors for help. Most refused. Some tried and failed. Others went silent. Now only a few systems remained. We cannot win. They don't even ask us to fight, he said. Just to end it quickly. Silence filled the room. That night no one slept. Somewhere far beyond human maps, entire species waited in terror, watching the dark draw closer. They did not know what Earth would send. They did not know if the monsters they had called would save them or make things worse. On Earth, alarms did not sound. There were no speeches yet, just quiet rooms, tired faces, and a truth settling into place. Humanity had been asked for mercy. And whatever came next would change the galaxy forever. Humans did not wait. The moment the message arrived, Earth shifted quietly. It did not shout to the stars. It did not send speeches or warnings. It began to prepare. Behind locked doors and hidden bunkers, people moved with calm efficiency. Soldiers, engineers, and ordinary citizens who had survived harder worlds than anyone in the galaxy could imagine began to act as one. Alex Moore stood on a platform inside a massive command center. The walls vibrated with engines, drills, and computers running at full speed. Around him, teams of analysts and soldiers worked, feeding him maps, calculations, and warnings. He watched the holographic star maps flicker. The paths that the dying aliens had traced showed destruction spreading, moving faster than any natural starship. "We're the first anyone can reach," Alex said quietly. He glanced at Lisa Brown, who had arrived with a small group of scientists. "And maybe the last," Lisa nodded. She had spent hours studying the alien signals. Their numbers, their weapons, their cities, all fragile in a way humans rarely saw. But the stories embedded in their messages left no doubt. These people had fought for every inch of survival, yet it had not been enough. John Carter walked in, arms crossed, face grim. "We're going to meet them," he said. "Not in battle. We're going to see what's left and decide how to act." "Decide?" Emily asked, raising her eyebrows. "We don't even know what we're walking into." "The last time humans tried to fight something like this, we almost lost half our planet to war." "This is not the same," John said. "We're not here to negotiate. We're here to survive. And if survival means making monsters, we already know how." Preparations moved quickly. Ships were upgraded. Weapons were loaded. Medical units trained for environments no human had seen before. Civilians volunteered without hesitation. In towns across Earth, families packed supplies, checked old bunkers, and drilled evacuation routes. On the day the fleet was ready to depart, Lisa and Alex stood together on the observation deck of a massive launch station. Beneath them, engines glowed blue, ready to hurl vessels across the stars at speeds no alien had ever predicted. "Do you think they know what we are?" Lisa asked. Alex shrugged. "Maybe not. I hope they do. It will scare them." John joined them, holding a tablet with the latest intelligence. "They will," he said. "We don't hide anything. Humans show their teeth first. It's how we survive." As the fleet lifted into space, the alien coalition watched from afar. Their sensors recorded the movements of the ships, puzzled by the size and design. Humans were small, fragile in appearance. Their ships were rugged, not elegant. Yet something about them, something violent and deliberate, made the aliens nervous. The first stop was a planet under siege. The world was a shattered place. Cities had fallen into dust. Smoke choked the skies. Rivers ran dark with chemicals. The coalition had recorded the battle through the original distress calls, but nothing could prepare them for the sight of it. Lisa and John led a team down to the surface. They wore light suits, equipped for toxins and radiation. Alex followed with a small group, monitoring the readings from above. What greeted them was chaos, but not as the aliens had expected. Survivors ran in fear. Small alien children cried in corners, clinging to broken structures, yet no enemy soldiers remained. The destruction had been swift, calculated, and brutal, but it had spared civilians where it could. Humans moved through the rubble with a calm purpose. They rescued those still alive, treated the wounded, and read the battlefields as if reading a map. "They are monsters," whispered a coalition observer hiding far above in orbit. The alien did not say it with anger, it said it with awe. "And yet they save those who deserve it." John crouched beside a small alien girl. She was dirty, trembling, and scared. He offered his hand. She stared, uncertain. Slowly she took it. "We're here now," John said softly. "It's over, you're safe." Lisa moved through the city, documenting every ruin. The patterns of destruction were shocking. Humans had destroyed the enemy weapons and fortresses completely. They left nothing behind that could be used again, yet they carefully cleared streets for the surviving aliens, rebuilt shelters, and shared water and food. "They think like predators," one alien analyst whispered to another. "And yet they do not hunt innocents." Strange, very strange. As the humans worked, the enemy fleet appeared in orbit. Scouts, small ships fast and deadly. They thought they could intimidate the newcomers, but humans did not panic. John barked orders. "Defenses first, fire at will, no hesitation," guns roared. Missiles flared. Humans engaged the scouts with a terrifying efficiency. The aliens watching were stunned. Ships smaller than a human station exploded with precision strikes. Every move seemed almost effortless, but careful, controlled, and perfectly lethal. Alex monitored from above. "They're not just fighting," he said. "They're teaching a lesson." It took less than a day. The enemy scouts were gone. The surviving coalition looked on, fear and hope mingling in their hearts. Humans had arrived and had already changed everything. John and Lisa gathered the coalition leaders in a safe area. They spoke slowly, using words easy to understand so there would be no mistakes. "We came because you asked for help," John said. "We will stop those who try to destroy you. We do not negotiate with killers. We do not bargain with death. If someone wants to survive, they will have to fight us too." The aliens shivered. Humans spoke plainly. They did not use diplomacy or threats. They used certainty. The kind of certainty born from living on a world that killed anyone who hesitated. Lisa handed over medical supplies, water, and rations. "We do not leave people to suffer," she said, "but we also do not leave anyone who wants to hurt you alive." It was a message unlike any the coalition had heard before. It was simple, clear, and terrifying. Humans would protect. Humans would destroy. Humans would not stop. Over the next week, humans moved planet by planet. They repaired broken systems, fought surviving enemy forces, and trained the coalition to protect themselves. They did not ask for praise. They did not ask for thanks. They worked, and when they rested, they planned the next strike. On one planet, a coalition leader named Yara came to John. She was small, nervous, and exhausted. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Why do you risk yourselves for us?" John looked at her. "Because we survive by helping those who cannot survive alone, and because we fight like monsters, yes, but monsters who remember mercy." Yara did not understand completely. No one could, not at first. She had grown up in a galaxy where wars ended in death for everyone. Humans were different. They were survivors. Monsters to enemies, angels to those they chose to protect. In space, ships flew silently between systems. Humans adapted to every environment. Harsh radiation, toxic clouds, storm-racked planets, they moved where others feared to step. Lisa studied patterns. She noted the speed of their victories. Each enemy army fell without mercy, yet civilians were spared when possible. Humans did not pause, but neither did they destroy unnecessarily. Emma whispered to Alex one day, "They are perfect predators, but also caretakers." Alex nodded. "We've never seen a species like this, one that can be both terrifying and merciful at the same time." In orbit above a dying city, John and Lisa watched as survivors, small aliens, scared and unsure, began to rebuild. Children laughed, adults worked. Humans helped quietly, giving tools, water, and instruction. "They are different," one coalition analyst said again. "We called for mercy, and instead, monsters came, but the monsters are better than we imagined." John smiled faintly. He did not explain that humans had always been like this. The galaxy simply had not noticed yet. They fought because they had to, survived because they could, and protected those who could not protect themselves because it was the way of life on Earth. Over time, more planets saw humans arrive. The enemy empire that had destroyed so many systems began to crumble under the unexpected efficiency and cruelty of Earth's people. Not cruelty for pleasure, but cruelty for survival and justice. Alex and Lisa monitored communications. They recorded awe, fear, and hope. Humans were no diplomats, they were not angels, they were monsters, and yet in their wake hope grew where despair had lived. John stood once more before a group of coalition leaders. He spoke simply, plainly. "We are here to end this. We will stop anyone who kills the innocent. We will teach them fear, and when it is over, you will live. That is all you need to know." Yara watched him. She did not fully understand yet, but she trusted him. She had no choice. And slowly, for the first time in weeks, she believed that maybe survival was possible. Humans had arrived. Monsters, yes, but monsters who would not abandon those in need. They were ruthless where enemies threatened and merciful where mercy was deserved. The galaxy had never seen anything like them, and the dying worlds of the Coalition began to hope again. The first step of humanity's answer was complete. The monsters were here, and they would not leave until the threat was ended. The humans moved fast. They did not waste time with speeches or ceremonies. Every ship, every soldier, every unit followed the same principle. Reach the enemy, stop the threat, protect the innocent. Wherever the dying coalition had once fought, humans now walked with a quiet, unstoppable force. John Carter led a small strike team onto a planet where the enemy still held a major base. The world was scarred. Mountains of metal lay twisted in the ash. Rivers had turned black with chemicals. The sky burned red from endless fires. Coalition scouts had reported that thousands of civilians were trapped inside crumbling cities. "We can't leave them there," John said. He checked his weapon and his gear. Beside him, Ethan Clark, a veteran from Earth's harshest training zones, tightened his gloves. Maria Lopez adjusted her helmet, scanning the horizon. "We'll move fast," Ethan said. "Strike first, clear paths, protect anyone alive, no hesitation." "That's exactly what we do," Maria replied. The strike team dropped from orbit in armored pods. The ground shook beneath them. Dust rose, distant explosions lit the horizon. The enemy did not wait. Small patrols moved quickly to intercept, but the humans were faster. John's voice came over comms. "Stick to the plan, nothing slows us down." Bullets tore through air, but humans did not flinch. They advanced through fire, smoke, and debris as if the world itself obeyed them. Every move was precise, calculated, and deadly. Enemies fell in seconds, often without understanding what had struck them. Inside one city, Alex Moore guided another human team from above. He watched drones scan streets, rooftops, and tunnels. Signals came in, trapped civilians, injured coalition soldiers, enemy remnants. Alex directed teams to each location, moving them efficiently. The humans treated the wounded with care, yet killed any who threatened their path. "They're like predators," a coalition officer whispered, watching from a safe distance. "They don't pause, don't fear, and yet they save those who need saving." Lisa Brown recorded the operation, noting every tactic, every movement. Humans did not rely on diplomacy. They did not negotiate. They struck fear first, certainty second, and mercy last. But where it mattered, mercy always came. John led his team into a large enemy bunker. The air inside was thick with smoke and chemicals. The walls had been carved with crude marks, signs of a desperate enemy, yet humans pressed forward, clearing rooms one by one. "Look alive," John said. "We're not here to die, we're here to end this." They found dozens of civilians, scared and trapped. Small alien children cried, clinging to one another. John motioned for Maria and Ethan to help. Together, they guided everyone out. Then the enemy struck back. Heavy weapons fired from the upper levels of the bunker. Explosions shook the walls, yet humans adapted instantly. Shields went up, counterattacks fired in precise volleys. Every enemy who threatened the path was destroyed within moments. Lisa watched through cameras. She whispered, "They call themselves monsters, but they are angels to these people." Outside, the battle continued. Humans had set up temporary field hospitals, triage stations, and defensive positions. They did not linger for glory. They moved forward, planet by planet, base by base. Alex coordinated reinforcements. He guided ships to block enemy escape routes. Missiles and gunships struck with exact timing, crushing resistance before it could regroup. Coalition leaders could only watch in awe. Humans were ruthless, efficient, and relentless. In one village, a small alien elder approached John. She had tears in her eyes. "Why do you fight for us?" she asked. "Why risk your lives?" John looked at her calmly. "Because you are alive, because someone has to fight when others cannot, because surviving is worth the effort." The elder nodded slowly, not fully understanding, but trusting. She had lived through endless wars and betrayals. Humans were different. Humans did not just fight, they ended threats completely without leaving enemies to return. As the days passed, humans adapted to every new challenge. Radiation storms, toxic clouds, and poisonous atmospheres did not stop them. They learned, adjusted, and continued. Ethan Clark commented to Maria Lopez one evening as they rested briefly, "I've never seen a team like this. They fight like demons, but they protect the weak like saints." Maria nodded. It's what we are. Earth made us this way. Anyone else in the galaxy might call us monsters, but it works. In orbit, Alex monitored the destruction of enemy fleets. Entire squadrons were annihilated before they could fire properly. Humans did not chase glory. They destroyed what needed to be destroyed. Every plan was about efficiency, not pride. John, Lisa, Ethan, and Maria moved to the next world. It was worse. Cities had fallen completely. Thousands of civilians were hiding underground. Humans deployed quickly. Drones mapped tunnels. Teams descended, guided by lights and sensors. Inside the tunnels, humans met resistance. Enemies fired from corners, from hidden passages. Humans adapted instantly. They moved through smoke, gas, and tight spaces. Enemy soldiers were disarmed, neutralized, or destroyed without pause. Children and families were guided out safely. Humans carried the wounded, treated injuries, and did not linger for recognition. The coalition watched quietly. They had never seen this combination of lethal efficiency and care before. John spoke softly to the rescued aliens. "Stay together, we will get you safe." Lisa documented each moment. She knew the galaxy needed to see this. Humans were not polite, they were not gentle. They were precise, deadly, terrifying, yet where mercy was due, they gave it fully. On another planet, the enemy tried to trap humans with a massive ambush. Thousands of soldiers, heavy artillery, and hidden mines waited in the forests. Humans did not panic. John's team coordinated attacks. Ethan and Maria led flanking maneuvers. Civilians were guided to safety first, then humans struck. Explosions lit the sky, but humans were unharmed. Every attack they launched was calculated, lethal, and devastating. Within hours, the ambush was destroyed. Coalition survivors whispered among themselves, calling the humans monsters, but their tone was mixed with awe and gratitude. "They are monsters, yes," one officer said, "but monsters who bring salvation." John looked at the battlefield. Bodies of enemies were everywhere, yet not a single civilian had been harmed by the humans. The aliens began to realize a truth that had been hidden. Humans were killers only to those who deserved it. As the fleet regrouped, Alex monitored the communications between worlds. Coalition leaders sent messages of thanks. Survivors described humans as terrifying and merciful at the same time. Lisa studied the records. Humans adapted, learned, and never stopped. Each planet became safer once humans had arrived. Each enemy that remained anywhere feared humans more than any weapon or fleet in the galaxy. In one destroyed city, Maria crouched beside a small alien boy. He trembled and clutched a broken toy. She handed him a piece of food and smiled. "You're safe now," she said. He looked at her uncertain but nodded. Humans had earned trust in a way no one else could. John surveyed the world from above. He knew the fight was not over. Thousands of enemy forces remained in pockets, but humans had proven the point. Anyone who threatened the innocent would face destruction. No hesitation, no mercy for the guilty. "They called for mercy," John said to Lisa over the comms. "We gave them monsters instead." Lisa smiled faintly, and maybe that's what they needed. Over time, humans became a legend. Coalition worlds whispered about them. Children asked if humans were real. Adults hoped they would appear when needed. Humans did not seek fame or reward. They acted because it was what they had always done: survival, protection, and decisive action. As humans prepared for the next world, John addressed his team. "Remember, we are not here to destroy for pleasure. We are here to end threats and protect the innocent. We do what we must and we move on. Keep that in mind." Ethan Clark laughed quietly. "Easy for you to say, boss. I like the part where we're monsters." Maria shook her head, smiling. "We're not monsters, we're humans, that's enough." And so humans moved forward. World after world, city after city, enemy after enemy. No challenge was too great. The coalition learned quickly. When humans acted, nothing stopped them. They were the predators of the galaxy, yes, but predators who saved the helpless. They were the monsters called for mercy, and the mercy they delivered was terrifying, unstoppable, and complete. As night fell on a newly liberated planet, John stood alone for a moment, looking at the sky. Countless stars stretched above. Somewhere out there, more dying worlds waited for help, and humanity would answer again. The monsters had arrived, and nothing would stop them. Humans did not pause. After weeks of swift strikes, quiet rescues, and terrifying efficiency, the enemy empire had begun to crumble. Small worlds fell first, then larger planets. The coalition watched from safe distances, barely able to comprehend what they were seeing. Humans did not argue, they did not debate. They moved, and the enemy disappeared before their eyes. John Carter led a fleet toward a heavily fortified planet. The enemy called it home. Satellites swarmed its orbit. Massive guns covered every surface. Humans looked at the map, calculated the risks, and acted. There was no hesitation. "This is going to be ugly," Ethan Clark said, checking his gear. "Then let's make it effective," Maria Lopez replied. Inside the command ship, Lisa Brown studied signals. Every movement of the enemy was tracked, predicted, and countered. Humans did not wait for mistakes. They forced them. Humans adapted to every new weapon, every trap, every ambush. By the time the enemy realized humans were coming, it was already too late. Alex Moore coordinated orbital strikes. Missiles flew in patterns that seemed chaotic but were precise, hitting enemy weapon depots and communications centers. Defensive shields barely had time to react. Humans struck fast, then moved in with ground teams. John's strike team descended to the planet. Fires burned across cities, thick smoke rising into the sky. Alien soldiers tried to resist, but humans were already inside their defenses. They moved through tunnels, broken streets, and crumbling buildings. Every enemy who threatened civilians or human teams was destroyed instantly. "We leave none alive who can hurt the innocent," John said over comms. "Move carefully, but do not hesitate." The coalition watched in awe. Humans tore through defenses that had been considered impenetrable. They did not pause for fear, for comfort, or for glory. Humans did not negotiate. They acted. With every step, they demonstrated the truth of what the galaxy had been warned. Humans were monsters to their enemies. Inside one shattered city, Maria guided a group of terrified civilians. She handed children small packs of water and food, smiling gently. "We're here to protect you," she said. "Don't worry." Ethan moved ahead, clearing streets and buildings. He destroyed enemy forces with careful precision. No one under his protection was harmed. Humans had mastered a balance the galaxy had never seen: lethal violence against enemies and mercy toward the innocent. John led a small group to a communications tower. Enemy forces tried to trap them, firing from the windows above. John raised his weapon, aimed, and fired. His team moved like one unit, silent and deadly. By the time the enemy realized what happened, they were gone. Humans held the tower, signaling orbital ships to strike any reinforcements. Lisa monitored from orbit, noting the speed and efficiency. The enemy had no chance. Humans anticipated every movement, adjusted every strategy, and acted decisively. Every battle was complete, leaving no threat behind. The coalition marveled at this combination of foresight, ferocity, and mercy. "They are more than soldiers," one alien said. "They are the perfect force. Nothing can stop them." Humanity did not rest. Even as one planet fell, another screamed for help. Distress calls echoed through space. Humans answered immediately, ships launched, weapons prepared, medical teams ready. They moved from planet to planet, never slowing. Every world saved became a base for the next operation. On a desert planet, a small group of humans found themselves surrounded by enemy forces. Thousands of soldiers tried to cut them off. John smiled faintly. "We'll teach them to respect us," he said. Ethan and Maria nodded. They struck. Humans did not fight like others. They used the environment, the enemy's fear, and precise strikes to annihilate resistance. Soldiers were gone before they could organize. Defenses collapsed instantly. Humans advanced steadily, never pausing, never faltering. The coalition observed from orbit, hearts pounding. "We called for mercy," one leader whispered. "And they bring destruction, absolute destruction. And yet they protect those who cannot defend themselves." Human teams moved through ruined cities, rescuing children, elders, and wounded soldiers who had surrendered. Humans treated injuries, shared food, and offered reassurance. Yet any who resisted, any who tried to harm innocents, faced immediate death. Humans did not hesitate, and they did not forgive. Lisa noted the pattern. Humans were not cruel for pleasure. They were cruel because it was necessary. The galaxy had never seen a species so willing to destroy only what threatened the innocent while protecting those too weak to defend themselves. John's voice came over the comms. "We are leaving no enemy alive who can rise again. Civilians are safe. Everyone else, beware. We will return if you try." On another planet, a coalition leader named Yara approached John. She had watched humans for weeks now. "Why do you fight like this?" she asked. "Why not negotiate?" John looked at her calmly. "Negotiation does not save lives, action does." We fight because we must. We protect because we can. That is all you need to understand. Yara nodded slowly, still fearful but understanding. Humans were different. Humans did not fear death, danger, or impossible odds. They had been forged by a world that demanded survival. In orbit, Alex tracked another fleet of enemy ships. The humans deployed in perfect formation, cutting off escape routes and striking targets with surgical precision. Enemy commanders panicked. They had never seen opponents who could fight in every environment, adapt instantly, and strike with absolute certainty. Lisa studied the fleet movements. Humans did not just attack. They destroyed only what was necessary. Cities, weapons, and soldiers were targeted. Civilians and neutral zones were avoided. Every action was deliberate, measured, and effective. On a frozen planet, Maria and Ethan led ground teams through storms and ice fields. Enemy soldiers ambushed them repeatedly. Humans adapted instantly, using terrain, weather, and tactics to their advantage. Each strike was precise. Every enemy was neutralized before they could threaten anyone. Civilians were escorted safely to shelters. "Humans are unstoppable," one coalition officer said. "And they do not even seek glory, they only do what must be done." John surveyed the battlefield on the frozen planet. Enemy forces had collapsed. Humans had saved the civilians and destroyed every threat. He spoke to his team quietly. "Remember, we act because it is right. We do not linger, we do not boast. We move on and do it again where needed." Humans moved again, planet by planet. Destroyed cities were rebuilt quickly with coalition assistance. Humans provided food, water, and medical aid. They trained coalition soldiers in tactics, defenses, and survival skills. Every act was measured. Humans brought hope where despair had ruled for months. Lisa recorded everything. She knew the galaxy needed to see this. Humans were terrifying, yes, but also merciful when it counted. The combination was new, frightening, and effective. Alex monitored enemy communications. Confusion spread quickly. The enemy could not understand humans. They had never faced a species that was both predator and protector. They tried to fight and failed. They tried to escape and failed. They tried to hide and failed. Humans struck everywhere, leaving no safe haven. John led a final assault on a major enemy fortress. The base had resisted for weeks. Humans approached carefully but decisively. Doors were breached, corridors cleared. Enemy soldiers were destroyed before they could organize. Civilians were rescued. Medical teams treated wounds. The fortress fell completely within hours. Yara watched from a safe distance. She was overwhelmed. Humans were monsters in the sense of being unstoppable killers, but they were also angels in the sense of saving those who could not save themselves. She began to understand why the dying coalition had called for mercy. Humans did not bargain, they acted. As night fell on the captured fortress, John addressed his team. "We are not here to punish for pleasure. We are here to protect. We are here to end threats. Remember that. Move on and be ready to do it again." Ethan laughed quietly. "Easy for you to say, boss. I like the part where we're monsters." Maria shook her head, smiling. "We're humans, monsters only to those who deserve it." Lisa recorded one last message for the coalition leaders. "Humanity does not seek praise. We do not seek glory. We act because it is necessary. Those who harm the innocent will face us. Those who cannot defend themselves will find protection. The choice is yours." Over weeks, humans liberated more worlds. Enemy forces fell faster than anyone could calculate. Survivors told stories of humans who appeared, fought like demons, and vanished after saving civilians. The legend of Earth's monsters spread across the galaxy. John looked at the sky from a liberated world. Countless stars stretched above. He knew more distress calls would arrive. More dying civilizations would ask for help, and humanity would answer. The monsters were here. They would not rest. They would not fail. They would deliver mercy in the only way they knew, through complete and unstoppable force. The galaxy would remember the day humans arrived, and the dying worlds of the coalition would never forget it. The battles were over. After months of relentless action, human forces had cleared the enemy from all coalition worlds. Cities once destroyed were slowly being rebuilt. Survivors walked through streets that had seen smoke, fire, and death. The enemy had vanished, leaving no trace of their cruelty except memories and scars. Humans had moved through the galaxy like storms, decisive, unstoppable, and terrifying to those who had caused suffering. John Carter stood on the observation deck of a large coalition space station. Below him, alien engineers repaired damaged systems. Civilians moved quietly, still frightened but safe. John's team had completed what had seemed impossible. The empire that had destroyed so much was gone. The survivors of the coalition had learned something new about the galaxy and about life itself. Humans were monsters to enemies, angels to those in need. Lisa Brown joined him, holding a datapad filled with records from the campaign. She had documented every strike, every rescue, every tactical movement. She had watched humans act without hesitation, without greed, and without desire for recognition. "It's done," she said quietly. John nodded. "For now, we'll wait, but we will act again if needed." The coalition leaders gathered to meet the humans one final time. They were nervous, unsure how to address the beings who had destroyed their enemies with such precision and still saved their people. Yara, the young leader who had watched humans closely from the beginning, stepped forward. "Why did you help us?" she asked. Her voice shook slightly. "Why risk yourselves for people you do not know?" John looked at her calmly. "Because someone had to, because you asked for help. Because living is worth protecting. We are not saints. We are humans. We survive, we protect, we fight. That is what we do." Yara hesitated. She tried to speak, but no words came. She had witnessed destruction and mercy intertwined in a way she had never imagined. Her people had called for angels. Instead, monsters came. Yet these monsters saved them, changed the course of their lives, and ensured their survival. Lisa added, "We do not seek glory. We do not ask for thanks. We do what is necessary. If anyone threatens the innocent again, we will return. Until then, your survival is your own. Remember what you have seen." The coalition leaders nodded slowly. The words sank deep into their hearts. Humans had not promised. Humans had acted. Their actions spoke louder than any treaty, any alliance, or any speech could. On the streets of a once-destroyed city, humans helped civilians rebuild homes. They carried supplies, fixed infrastructure, and trained local teams to defend themselves in the future. Children laughed again, climbing over broken walls that were now repaired. Elders smiled cautiously, grateful for the presence of beings who had risked everything for them. Ethan Clark and Maria Lopez led teams through the city, ensuring every survivor had food and shelter. They treated wounds with care and offered reassurance. Even as they acted with kindness, their eyes were alert. Humans never relaxed completely. Danger could return at any time, and humans would be ready. John stood with Lisa, watching children play. He spoke quietly, almost to himself. "We gave them mercy the only way we know how. Through force, yes, but also through protection. They will remember this forever." Lisa nodded. "They will. The galaxy will remember." Humanity does not ask to be worshipped, but our actions will echo. The humans prepared to leave. Their ships had repaired, resupplied, and rested. Humans had not sought recognition. They had not demanded loyalty. They acted, and now they would withdraw, leaving the coalition to rebuild with hope and guidance. Alex Moore coordinated the departure. Drones scanned systems one last time, confirming that enemy forces were gone. Humans left behind medical supplies, food, tools, and tactical guidance. Every world was given the ability to defend itself and survive. Nothing more was needed. Humans had acted, and then they stepped back. Yara approached John one final time. "We called for angels," she said softly. "We got monsters, and yet they were exactly what we needed." John smiled faintly. "Monsters who care, yes, sometimes that is the best the galaxy can hope for." As humans boarded their ships, coalition leaders watched silently. The humans did not linger. They did not wave. They did not promise. They acted because it was right, and that was enough. The ships lifted, engines glowing, leaving worlds forever changed in their wake. Lisa watched from the bridge. "They will tell stories," she said. "Not just about survival, but about what humans are. The galaxy has never seen anything like this." Ethan Clark laughed quietly as he prepared for jump. "Let them tell stories. We know the truth." Maria smiled. "We fight, we protect, we leave when we are done, simple." John looked at the stars. The galaxy was quiet now, but humans knew it would not stay that way. Somewhere, someone would call for help again. Somewhere, someone would need protection. Humanity would answer. On one coalition world, survivors began to speak among themselves. Children asked about the humans who had saved them. Adults whispered tales of monsters who fought with fire and precision, yet held mercy for the innocent. The legend grew quickly. "They are terrifying," one elder said, "and yet we owe them our lives." "Why do they do this?" a young soldier asked. "They are not ours. They come from far away. They could leave us to die." "Because they are humans," the elder replied, And humans fight for life, always. Across the galaxy, the legend spread. Dying civilizations whispered about Earth's monsters who arrived without warning, ended threats completely, and left hope behind. Some called them terrifying, some called them angels. All agreed on one truth: humans were different. Humans were strong. Humans survived. Humans protected. Back on Earth, John, Lisa, Ethan, and Maria returned quietly. There were no parades, no speeches, no recognition. They walked through familiar streets, drank coffee in small cafes, and rested in homes that were not their own. They had changed the galaxy, but they did not boast. They did what humans always did: acted when necessary, survived, and moved on. John spoke to his team one evening. "We've done what we could. The galaxy is safer now. The Coalition can rebuild. Our work is done here for now." Ethan nodded. "For now, but if they call again, we go," Maria smiled. "We always go. It's what we do," Lisa added. "We leave behind hope. That is enough." The stars above glowed quietly. Humans looked up, knowing that countless worlds had survived because of their actions. No one would forget the monsters who arrived when mercy was begged. No one would forget the beings who fought like demons and protected like angels. And somewhere, far beyond known space, more civilizations would whisper the stories of Earth's monsters. Stories of survival, stories of mercy through force, stories of humanity at its strongest. John stood last, looking at the sky. "We do not need to be worshipped," he said softly. "We only need to act, and we will, always." The humans left the Coalition worlds behind, disappearing into the vastness of space. The galaxy remained, forever changed. The dying worlds of the Coalition would tell their children, and their children would tell their children, of the day humans answered the call. They had begged for mercy, and humans came. Monsters, yes, but monsters who saved the innocent. Monsters who fought, survived, and left hope in their wake. The galaxy would never forget. Humans had acted, humans had answered, humans had left a legacy. And somewhere in the stars, the next call for help waited. And humanity would come again. The monsters of Earth had arrived, and they would always be ready.